Pitch Perfect is a 2012 musical comedy about the Barden Bellas, an all-female a cappella group, and their journey to the collegiate a cappella final. As a musical comedy, viewers probably are not expecting much more than light entertainment from the film, but according to the Greek comedic tradition, all comedy contains agon, which is a social critique or moral message for its audience. At first glance, Pitch Perfect's agon appears to be a struggle between men and women, represented by the ongoing rivalry between the Bellas and the all-male troublemakers. However, throughout the film, we see more conflict within the Bellas team as they fight about their music, dance, and costume style. In this video essay, I will explore the ways that Pitch Perfect critiques the constraints within the female gender to perform a certain type of femininity, and how the Bellas transformation symbolizes a liberation of female gender expression. The opening scene of Pitch Perfect is a flashback to the previous a cappella championship, and we see that year's Barden Bellas performing as the first all-female group to qualify. What immediately stands out about these women is their uniformity, not just in outfit, but in looks overall. They are all Caucasian, tall, thin, and conventionally attractive. They represent traditional femininity, which is a look that all women are expected to perform. Despite these winning looks, a nervous Aubrey Posen ends up throwing up all over the audience during her solo. Here, we can see how toxic and stifling a cookie-cutter form of femininity can be. This toxic environment continues the following year, when Aubrey, as new captain, attempts to recreate the previous team. Naturally, they are unable to find those perfect candidates, and must settle for whatever freshmen they can find. The reason that Aubrey cannot create her perfect team is that no such team exists, because not all women will fit a certain mold. In reality, femininity is much more complex, as demonstrated by the diverse new recruits introduced during the auditions. Nevertheless, Aubrey enforces her ideals and demands that her team sing the same 3 songs as the last group, use the same costumes and choreography, even though the old Bella's uniform only suits a specific body type, and Aubrey's expectations don't fit the new recruits' lifestyles. Aubrey refuses to change, forcing the new recruits to meet her expectations. Each element of the look that she wants ends up in a failure when applied to the new batch of Bellas. They twist their ankles trying to walk in heels, the choreography progressively gets messier, and their untrained voices provoke Aubrey to end practice in defeat. The more Aubrey tries to shape the new recruits to fit her ideals, the more out of control the situation becomes, gaining momentum like a snowball effect until they finally crash at their first performance at a fraternity's fall mixer, where one of the frat guys actually orders them to stop and leave because their routine is a barnyard explosion. Despite the obvious message that her plans will not work, Aubrey maintains her manic vision of redemption, but in the face of these constricting expressions of femininity, the new recruits each defy Aubrey and the traditional femininity she symbolizes with their diverse forms of gender expression. While Aubrey personifies conservative femininity, Becca embodies female nonconformity. Like her fellow new recruits, she does not meet the standards set by the former Bellas and maintained by its current captain. Initially, Aubrey doesn't even want to invite Becca to audition, taking in her multiple tattoos and piercings, and dismissing her as too alternative for her ideal group. However, Becca does show up to audition, and her powerful voice and creativity convinces Aubrey to let her in. Yet Becca refuses to assimilate and resists Aubrey's rule, constantly challenging her about the set list and the standards she enforces. Becca tries to update the set list at every opportunity she can, even when she is shot down each time by Aubrey's final authority. At the ripoff, she shocks the group by rapping Dr. Dre's lyrics from No Diggity. Having the group join her is her first success at getting them to overcome the mold that Aubrey had been confining them to, and to embrace their combined yet individual talents. At their semifinals performance, Becca reads the crowd's boredom as the Bellas perform the exact number from regionals. Knowing that not even Fat Amy's theatrics can help them advance, she belts out Bulletproof during Aubrey's solo to seamlessly mix the 2 songs, and earns looks of approval from the judges. Her blending of genres proposes a compromise. Conservative femininity does not need to become extinct, but other feminine expressions must have a voice as well. Each of her acts of resistance serves to call out the blandness of a uniform femininity. It may have worked in the past, but traditional feminine expression is no longer fit to rule, at least not for everyone. When the Bellas advance to the finals, the group finally raises a collective voice to convince Aubrey to enact change, which she does by handing the role of captain to Becca, trusting her to combine all of their strengths and produce a winning routine. The a cappella finals reveals the Bellas' final transformation, which is a hit with the audience both in appearance and sound. When the new Bellas make their season debut with the original uniforms and routine, the commentators describe the motley group as refreshing but displeasing to the eyes, noting the obvious discomfort the new Bellas felt when forced to conform. However, the new Bellas abandon uniforms for their final performance, opting instead for a new loose theme of button-ups, tank tops, and dark bottoms. The scarves remain, but with liberty of placement, with some girls keeping it around their necks, and others around their wrists or waist. They all match but are still unique, as each girl brings in her own taste and confidence. The outfits evoke the message that feminine expression has numerous possibilities when set free, privileging a common ground in feminine identity over a standardized look. Their set list revolutionizes as well, leaving the confines of 20th century female singers to feature 21st century pop hits from both male and female artists. The set list songs and choreography mark the growth of the characters, including elements from some of the key songs the Bellas sung with each other throughout the film's course, as well as adding genres and dance moves that reflect the new group's interests. Cynthia Rose raps, Lily beatboxes, and Stacy's solo boob lift move from the regionals becomes a group affair. Even Aubrey's tastes are respected, as bits of Turn the Beat Around can be heard during the performance. Through this blend of each of their strengths, the Bellas represent a release from the limits of one feminine ideal to celebrate diversity and the different skill sets offered by non-conforming mindsets. And with each girl's strength highlighted, their individual talents combine to produce a winning set to overcome their rivals and cinch the first victory by a female group. By overcoming traditional feminine domination, their win shows that women cannot expect to progress without recognizing the limits of hegemonic femininity, which would have excluded the skills needed for the Bellas' victory, and must instead embrace and respect all forms of female gender expression.